Welcome to the Deep Dive, the place where we take all the facts, the deep history, and all the comprehensive source material you've shared with us, and we synthesize it down to the essential, memorable knowledge nuggets.
Today, we're embarking on a crucial deep dive into a man whose life story is, well, it's defined by a deep and really surprising paradox. Paul Walker. His public identity was just cemented by that high-speed, glossy world of Hollywood blockbusters.
Totally. The action star.
Right. But our sources reveal this whole private existence, one dedicated to, rigorous discipline, profound academic curiosity, and real hands-on global humanitarian work.
That's right. For so many people, he is Brian O'Connor, the star of the Fast and Furious franchise, full stop.
Exactly.
But our mission today is to move entirely beyond that image, that blockbuster icon, to fully understand Paul William Walker IV. You know, the man born in Glendale, California back in 1973. We're looking at a life marked by these unexpected dualities, someone who seemed to master both the, chaos of action stardom and the calm focus needed for scientific marine research. It's quite a mix.
It really is, and we'll be trying to connect those seemingly disparate threads of his life today. We'll trace his deep family roots, some of them kind of violent, actually, in combat sports and auto racing.
Right.
We'll track his winding career path, from being a literal toddler model to a global film star.
Yeah.
And maybe most importantly, explore these intense, dedicated passions he pursued privately, becoming an advanced Brazilian jiu-jitsu practitioner.
Which is amazing in itself.
Totally. And an active marine biologist and co-founding that powerful global aid organization Reach Out worldwide.
And then, unfortunately, we have to dedicate substantial time to the tragic end of his life.
Yeah.
The resulting technical marvel that was required to complete his final film, Furious 7.
Incredible story there.
And the complex, sometimes conflicting legal battles that followed. Just to give us that complete view of his powerful and I think truly unique legacy.
Sounds good.
Okay, let's unpack this fascinating journey. Early life and the athletic mechanical roots. When you look at Paul Walker's public image, you see the California surfer look, the fast driver persona. But what struck me immediately in the source material is that his dedication to physical intensity and mechanical performance, it wasn't just manufactured for a role. It feels like it was fundamentally encoded in his family's history.
It really was. It seems like it was built right into the DNA of the Walker family line. He was born, like you said, 1973, Glendale, California. His mother, Cheryl, she was a fashion model. And that's, understandably, the connection point that first drew him into modeling and performing as a toddler.
Makes sense.
But the history of discipline and even combat, that comes from his father's side.
His father, Paul William Walker III. He was a sewer contractor by trade, right?
Right.
But his background was rooted in amateur boxing.
Yeah, and seriously rooted. The sources specifically note he was a 2-time Golden Gloves champion.
Wow, okay.
That isn't just a casual hobby. That requires immense discipline, training, real mental fortitude.
Definitely, and that heritage goes back even further.
It does, another generation. His paternal grandfather was also a boxer, known by the nickname Irish Billy Walker.
Irish Billy Walker. Love it.
So you've got this lineage of physical intensity, right? And the necessity of personal discipline. It really sets a foundation that I think we see reflected later in his commitment to martial arts.
But then there's the other side of the coin, the mechanical, the competitive element that would end up defining his most famous work. We learned another paternal grandfather raced factory cars for Ford.
Yeah, during the 1960s.
That's incredible.
That detail just connects everything, doesn't it?
It really does.
It means that long before Paul Walker was playing a character obsessed with imports and street racing, he had a direct relative involved in professional high-stakes American auto racing with Ford, a major manufacturer.
So that deep ingrained connection between the Walker family and car culture was absolutely authentic. It wasn't just acting.
Not at all.
So we see this disciplined athletic heritage, but his upbringing was also influenced by religion, apparently. He was raised Mormon.
Raised in the Mormon religion, yeah. Though the sources say he later transitioned as an adult, identified as a non-denominational Christian. He graduated from Village Christian School in 1991.
Okay.
And here is the major pivot point. The first real hint of that intellectual curiosity that ran parallel to his physical life. After high school, he didn't immediately jump into, full-time acting coaching or try to move to New York or anything.
Right. What did he do?
He attended several community colleges throughout Southern California, and he chose a pretty demanding academic path majoring in marine biology.
Marine biology. That detail is so crucial because it foreshadows everything we'll talk about later.
Exactly.
It's the action star committing to the patient, technical rigor of studying deep-sea life. I find it kind of difficult to reconcile the high adrenaline demands of his career with the slow, meticulous patience needed for, real scientific study.
I think it highlights a man who really needed balance. Acting brought the fame and the speed, maybe, but science gave him structure, purpose, a connection to nature. And that passion wasn't just hypothetical either. He would actually pursue that field professionally later on. It proves it was a true calling, not just some phase he went through.
Yet this serious academic path developed right alongside a performance career that was already decades old by then.
Yeah, it started so early.
He began modeling as a toddler, famously starring in a Pampers television commercial at age 2.
It's almost comical, isn't it? Thinking of the future action hero selling diapers.
It really is.
But that early exposure, it just normalized being in front of the camera. Set the stage for everything that followed. He kept doing commercials, like one for Showbiz Pizza in 1984, just establishing a working rhythm really early on.
And the small screen roles started appearing pretty consistently after that in the 80s, which seems typical for child actors working their way up.
Definitely. He was in the fantasy drama Highway to Heaven for a couple of episodes.
Oh, yeah.
And secured his first major leading role in 1987 in a sitcom called Throb.
Throb, okay.
So that early trajectory just shows a working actor building a serious resume way before the 21st century hit.
We learned he was definitely active in television throughout the 80s and early 90s, too. Even appeared on a game show, I'm telling.
Yeah. With his sister Ashley back in 1988. They finished second, apparently.
That's great.
It's a very typical long path, a child actor working consistently across multiple genres, commercials, sitcoms, game shows. All of that was foundational, I think, for handling the later rigors of feature film production, too. The climb to leading man status.
So that consistent TV work, that eventually led him into the soap opera world, right? Which for a lot of actors in the early 90s was kind of the ultimate testing ground. Build a fan base, prove you can stick around.
Absolutely. He gained significant early fame in the early 1990s as Brandon Collins on The Young and the Restless started in 93.
Okay, Y&R. Big deal.
Huge deal. And that role was recognized almost immediately. He got, along with his co-star Heather Tom, a nomination for Outstanding Lead Actor and Actress in a Soap Opera at the Youth in Film Awards.
So he could handle the drama day in, day out.
Exactly. Showed he had the chops for that heavy workload.
So he was building credibility, moving up from those maybe early, sometimes kind of cheesy B films. The sources mentioned titles like Monster in the Closet, a horror comedy from 86.
Right, those early ones.
To getting genuine recognition. But his first true feature film role came a bit later in 1998 with that quirky comedy, Meet the Deedles.
Yeah, Meet the Deedles. Maybe not a classic for the ages.
Probably not.
But it was a crucial gateway. It let him secure these high-profile supporting roles in a string of really popular late 90s teen films. And that just cemented his status as, like, the quintessential golden boy of that era.
The handsome, athletic, maybe sometimes a bit shallow character.
Pretty much, yeah. That was the type.
We're talking about films like Pleasantville in 98. That gave him his first taste of critical acclaim, right? Within a bigger ensemble.
Then Varsity Blues and She's All That, both in 99. And then The Skulls in 2000.
He was suddenly everywhere. He really became the face of a specific brand of late 90s cinema, almost like he was auditioning for the leading man status he was about to get.
That sequence of roles perfectly primed him for 2001.
The big one.
That's the year. Landed the breakthrough role opposite Vin Diesel in the action film The Fast and the Furious.
And it was just a phenomenon. Commercially massive. Yeah. Launched the whole franchise, obviously, but also established Walker internationally as a major film star. A genuine action lead.
And the recognition was immediate, very audience-driven. In 2002, he and Vin Diesel won the MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Team.
Right. That award really underscores the chemistry they had and how quickly he became synonymous with that whole high-speed action genre.
It's important to remember, though, that Walker was trying to branch out early on. Often forgotten in the huge shadow of Fast and Furious is that the same year, 2001, he starred in Joyride.
Oh, yeah, the road thriller. That was actually pretty good.
It was, commercially and critically successful. And it showed he could carry a suspense film outside of the car-heavy universe, proved he wasn't just relying on the franchise for success.
Okay, so this brings us to a really interesting point in his early fame. He was initially cast, set to play Jim Street in the 2003 film SWAT, a big studio action film.
That's right. And he'd actually started training for the part. which again speaks to his commitment to those physical roles.
But he made a very strategic choice, maybe even destiny-defining, looking back.
He backed out of SWAT specifically to reprise his role as Brian O'Connor in the sequel, Too Fast, Too Furious, in 2003.
Wow, so he chose the franchise.
He did. That decision truly cemented his identity within that franchise. He sacrificed a major non-franchise opportunity to stay loyal, really, to the core narrative that launched his career.
The mid-2000s then saw him exploring different genres, trying to prove his versatility, even if they weren't all huge box office hits.
Right. You had films like the visually beautiful underwater thriller Into the Blue in 2005.
Yeah, I remember that one.
And the dark, really gritty crime drama Running Scared in 2006. Both were generally seen as box office disappointments.
But it's crucial to note, even in those less commercially successful films, he earned respect.
Definitely. The director of Running Scared, Wayne Kramer, specifically praised Walker. He noted his dedication as a collaborator, saying he was completely supportive of my vision. And even better, he's completely game for it.
That says a lot about his professionalism, right? Regardless of the genre or the box office.
It really does. Speaks to his dedication as an actor.
And 2006 stands out as a year where he really did demonstrate his range. First, he starred in that Disney survival drama 8 Below.
Oh, yeah, with the dogs.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That film was critically praised, featured zero cars, basically, and it opened #1 at the box office.
Yep.
Grossed over $20 million opening weekend. That's massive success outside the racing world.
Huge. And the other major project that year was portraying Hank Hansen in Clint Eastwood's serious, critically acclaimed war film, Flags of Our Fathers.
Right. Moving from pure action and family drama to a serious historical military drama.
Yeah.
Directed by Clint Eastwood.
Yeah. That was clearly an effort to seek credibility, demonstrate his serious acting ambition beyond just the fast cars.
And that ambition started bleeding into his off-screen role as well. In 2007, he debuted as a producer on The Death and Life of Bobby Z.
He wasn't just collecting checks anymore. He was starting to influence the projects.
And he later stepped into executive producer roles too, right, for films like the thriller Vehicle 19 in 2013.
Yep, and he produced the crime comedy Pawn Shop Chronicles that same year.
But at the same time, the pull of the franchise brought him back again.
It did. He returned to the core series with Fast and Furious in 2009, which, kind of surprisingly, became the highest-grossing film in the franchise up to that point.
So it validated his decision years earlier, maybe, to prioritize Brian O'Connor.
You could definitely see it that way. The franchise success just kept rolling, cementing his global status. Led to more nominations, awards, including his second MTV Movie Award for Best On-Screen Duo with Vin Diesel for Fast and Furious 6.
And in a kind of wonderful nod back to his earliest days, he even made a modeling comeback.
Yeah, in 2011, appeared as the face of the Cool Water fragrance brand.
Huh, full circle?
Pretty much. He was successfully weaving together all these aspects of his life and career: serious drama, action star, model.
But the move that really consolidated his behind-the-scenes influence, the one that suggested a long-term strategy, was founding his own film production company, Laguna Ridge Pictures, in 2012.
And they signed a first-look deal with Universal Pictures.
That indicates a man taking active control, right, of his creative destiny, ensuring he had input, a pipeline for future projects, rather than just waiting for the next action script to land on his doorstep.
Exactly, building something more sustainable.
Okay, this section is where, for me, the man truly emerges from the shadow of the star. It's honestly astonishing to realize how high a level of mastery he achieved in fields completely unrelated to acting.
Yeah, it's remarkable.
He wasn't just dabbling, he was committed to excellence.
The most immediate example of this intense dedication is probably his pursuit of Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, BJJ.
Right.
He was a dedicated student, held a brown belt under Ricardo Franginha Miller at Paragon Jiu-Jitsu.
Now, for people listening who might not be familiar with martial arts, a brown belt in BJJ, that is no small feat.
None at all.
The discipline typically requires, 8 to 10 years of intense, consistent training, sparring, technical memorization.
At least. It's a notoriously long path, often demanding just grinding physical and mental exhaustion.
That level of long-term commitment, it just directly contrasts with the often, transient nature of celebrity life.
Totally. And here's the detail that truly speaks volumes about the depth of his character and commitment. He was posthumously awarded his black belt by Miller.
Wow.
That is the highest honor in the sport. It confirms that his instructor believed he had fulfilled all the necessary requirements, that he'd earned the rank before his death. It's just a powerful statement about the level of discipline he maintained throughout his life, regardless of his filming schedule.
Amazing. Now, connecting that physical discipline back to his family history, the car enthusiast side was equally serious, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, he wasn't just performing stunts for the movies, he was a competitive racer.
Really?
The sources confirm he competed in the Redline Time Attack racing series. He drove a professionally prepared BMW E92 M3 for the AE Performance Team.
Okay, Redline Time Attack. That's not just messing around on the street.
No, it's a high-precision competition. Drivers race against the clock for the fastest lap time on a closed circuit.
So it requires precision, mechanical understanding, consistent performance under pressure.
Exactly. It's like the ultimate combination of his heritage, right? The focus of a boxer combined with the mechanical rigor of that Ford factory racer grandfather.
And this passion wasn't just personal, it was also a business venture.
Right. He co-owned Always Evolving, a high-end vehicle performance shop in Valencia. His close friend and fellow racer, Roger Rodas, served as CEO.
So this was a man deeply immersed in the engineering, the modification of high-performance vehicles.
Definitely. And his commitment extended to collecting, too. Our sources confirm he maintained a large collection, about 30 cars, many co-owned with Rodas.
And this wasn't just for show.
No. To put a monetary value on the seriousness of this collection, 21 vehicles from it were sold for a combined $2.33 million at an auction in 2020.
Whoa. Okay. This was a serious, significant personal investment in automotive culture.
Absolutely. And the most iconic personal item, he actually owned the R34 Nissan Skyline GTR V-Spec that he drove into Fast 2 Furious.
You own that car.
Yep. That's the kind of dedication that just transcends celebrity endorsement. He clearly considered these cars essential pieces of his personal and professional identity.
But perhaps the most compelling facet of his hidden life, for me anyway, is that marine biology dream he first explored back in community college.
Yeah, that passion just didn't fade.
It wasn't a fleeting interest at all. In 2006, he acted on this passion, joined the board of directors of the Billfish Foundation.
Right, a conservation group dedicated to protecting species like marlin and swordfish.
But he didn't just stop at board meetings. He turned that dedication into a really deep, tangible experience.
He fulfilled a lifelong dream, basically. Starred in that National Geographic Channel series Expedition Great White, later retitled Sharkmen, premiered in June 2010.
And the specifics of this expedition really highlight his scientific commitment. This wasn't just celebrity tourism like showing up for a photo op.
Not even close. He spent 11 days catching and tagging 7 great white sharks off the coast of Mexico.
11 days. Doing what exactly?
Rigorous scientific research. Gathering DNA samples, taking precise measurements, fastening these real-time satellite tags to study their migratory patterns over a 5-year period, specifically focusing on migration routes linked to mating and birthing.
The sources stress how technical this work was. I mean, imagine the patience, sitting in a boat, waiting, then executing a precise capture and tagging process on a powerful predator like a great white.
It's pretty much the antithesis of the 90-second quarter-mile drag race, right?
Exactly. That juxtaposition of patient scientific rigor and explosive action stardom. It just tells us so much about the two halves of his personality.
And then there is his profound commitment to global humanitarian work.
Reach out worldwide. Rotary WW.
His commitment to global aid led him to found that nonprofit charity with his financial advisor, Roger Rodas. It was directly in response to the devastating 2010 Haiti earthquake.
And critically, this wasn't just a celebrity attaching their name to a letterhead, right? That happens all the time.
Absolutely not. The sources really emphasize his hands-on approach. He traveled personally to disaster-stricken areas to provide immediate, on-the-ground aid, right up until his death.
What did ROW focus on?
Bringing skilled personnel, often medical pros, engineers directly into disaster zones. They utilized the unique resources and logistical connections his celebrity could, frankly, afford them, making a direct impact.
Wow. Okay, so on the personal side, despite all these demands, acting, racing, BJJ, sharks, charity, he had a close relationship with his daughter, Meadow Rainwalker.
Yes. She had lived with her mother in Hawaii for a while, but in 2011, she moved to California to live with him full-time.
That signifies a major deliberate shift, doesn't it, with his personal priorities? Prioritizing fatherhood.
It seems so.
Mhm.
And his close bonds with his co-stars were genuinely transformative, apparently. Vin Diesel, who described Walker as his other half, like a brother,
Became Meadows' godfather.
became Meadows' godfather. And he was also famously close friends with Tyrese Gibson. These relationships suggest that while he definitely valued his privacy, he nurtured this small circle of extremely close, loyal connections.
Finally, let's circle back to that crucial decision he made in the mid-2000s. Our sources mentioned he allegedly declined the role of Superman in Superman Returns 2006.
Yeah, a role that could have launched him into a completely different stratosphere of fame, like beyond anything he'd experienced.
And the stated reason for turning it down was concern about the so-called Superman curse and the intense, inescapable level of celebrity association that comes with taking on such an iconic generational role.
Right. And when you look at his commitment to BJJ, shark tagging, his hands-on charity work, this decision really suggests a man who is acutely protective of his privacy.
Protecting his ability to sustain that non-Hollywood life.
Exactly. Without the overwhelming demands of ultimate celebrity constantly interfering, it seems like he chose discipline and purpose over, well, omnipotence. Tag CV. The tragic end and enduring posthumous legacy. The tragic and sudden conclusion to his life. It occurred on November 30, 2013, around 3:30 p.m. out in Santa Clarita, California.
Yeah. And the facts of the collision, confirmed by a really rigorous, detailed investigation, they're essential to understanding the whole narrative.
Absolutely. He and Roger Rodas, the CEO of Always Evolving, co-founder of RoWW, they had just left a charity event.
The event was organized by Reach Out worldwide, right?
Yeah.
To benefit victims of Typhoon Haiyan.
That's right. Rodas was driving his red 2005 Porsche Carrera GT, and Walker was the passenger.
And the investigation confirmed the speed factor was huge.
Devastatingly so, estimated between 80 and 93 miles per hour. In a posted 45-mile-per-hour speed zone.
80 to 93 in a 45.
Yeah. Rodas lost control on a curve, one known in the area apparently for car drifting. The vehicle crashed into a concrete lamppost and two trees, and it caught fire almost instantly.
We should probably pause here and just contextualize the car involved. The Porsche Carrera GT, that's not your standard road car.
Not even remotely. It's a high-performance supercar. Notorious among critics, enthusiasts for being extremely unforgiving.
Why unforgiving?
Primarily because it lacks electronic stability control. It has really sensitive handling, particularly at high speeds or if the tires aren't perfect.
So hitting 80 to 90 miles per hour in a 45 zone in that specific car, especially if the tires were older, a simple loss of control just turns into an absolute catastrophe.
Precisely. And the forensic evidence was tragically clear. The impact was severe enough to cause immediate, massive physical trauma. Rodas died instantly from multiple trauma injuries.
Walker.
Walker died within seconds. From the combined effects of the initial physical trauma and the subsequent burns, both men's bodies were tragically burned beyond recognition due to that immediate high-intensity fire.
It's important to state the official findings of the investigation clearly.
Yes. Police ruled out any involvement of alcohol or drugs.
Yeah.
And they found no evidence of a mechanical failure within the car itself, though they did note the age of the tires as a contributing factor to the loss of control.
So the sole determined causes were
Excessive speed and driver error for the conditions of the road. Plain and simple.
the suddenness of his death had immediate, massive ramifications for the production of Furious 7.
Huge. At the time of the accident, he'd completed about 85% of his scenes, but filming was immediately put on an indeterminate hiatus. The studio, the filmmakers, they had to grapple with how to proceed, ethically, technically.
Finishing the film required an absolutely extraordinary effort. Really pioneering, driven by the desire to complete his final performance respectfully, emotionally.
The decision was made to hire Peter Jackson's renowned visual effects house, Weta Digital.
From Lord of the Rings fame.
Exactly. They were tasked with completing the remaining scenes using an astonishing 350 complex CGI shots.
How did they even do that?
It involved this intricate technical process. To recreate Walker's face and likeness, they used a combination of existing reference materials, outtakes from previous films, older footage.
Right.
But critically, his two brothers, Caleb and Cody, along with co-star John Brotherton, they stepped in as physical stand-ins.
So they performed the movements.
They performed the necessary physical movements, yeah. And then Weta digitally superimposed Walker's face onto their bodies, carefully crafting the illusion of his complete performance. It was groundbreaking stuff at the time.
Furious 7 was eventually released in 2015, and the response really reflected the audience's enduring affection for him.
It became a massive commercial success. And, recognizing his final performance, Walker posthumously won Choice Movie Actor, Action at the Teen Choice Awards that year.
And of course, the emotional farewell became iconic. That song, See You Again, by Wiz Khalifa and Charlie Puth.
Yeah, specifically commissioned for the film as a tribute to Walker and his character Brian O'Connor, provided that poignant, necessary closure for the audience, I think.
The tragedy also led to a series of complicated posthumous lawsuits, highlighting the legal complexities that follow such a high-profile, high-speed accident involving, expensive assets.
The first one, filed in December 2014, was more of a financial dispute. Walker's father filed a wrongful death claim against Rodas' estate. It concerned the jointly owned collection of exotic cars and business assets.
And that settled?
That eventually resulted in a confidential settlement between the two parties.
But the most high-profile legal battle was the wrongful death lawsuit filed by Walker's daughter, Meadow, against Porsche. That was September 2015.
Right. That lawsuit alleged the Carrera GT had numerous design defects, specifically citing instability issues and dangerous seatbelt placement. She claimed those contributed to his death by preventing him from escaping the vehicle after the crash.
And Porsche's response?
Porsche aggressively defended itself, denied any design defects, placed the responsibility squarely on the passenger, essentially. Their legal defense centered on the concept of assumption of risk, stating that Walker assumed all the risks involved in using the vehicle because the dangers of a high-performance car traveling at excessive speed were, quote, open and obvious and known to him.
Strong defense.
Very. Ultimately, both Walker's father and his daughter reached separate out-of-court settlements with Porsche.
Okay, but it's important to understand the legal nuance there, right? Out-of-court settlements often involve confidentiality.
Exactly. And they're often made by manufacturers to mitigate risk, public relations exposure, rather than being an admission of guilt.
Which contrasts sharply with a separate lawsuit filed by Rodas' widow, Christine, against Porsche.
That's right. In that case, a U.S. District Court judge ruled in favor of Porsche, granted them summary judgment, stated there is no evidence of mechanical fault or defect. So, complex, differing outcomes depending on the specific legal path taken.
Despite the legal battles, the tragedy, his legacy remains incredibly robust and honored.
Definitely. He was set to play major leads in the film adaptations of The Best of Me and Hitman, Agent 47.
Right, those roles went to James Marsden and Rupert Friend, respectively. Yeah. Which just demonstrates the caliber of roles he was attracting at the end of his life.
His life was later chronicled in that 2018 documentary, I Am Paul Walker, which really helped shine a light on his humanitarian side, his scientific passions. And more recently, he received a posthumous star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2023.
And critically, Brian O'Connor, the character, continues to live on in the franchise. That way.
He does. The character is referenced, occasionally appearing in off-screen cameos, driving cars synonymous with Walker, like the Nissan Skyline GTR and F9.
Right.
And archive footage from previous films has been seamlessly used in newer installments like Fast X, confirming that the character, while retired from the main action, remains this integral, referenced part of that universe. #tag final thoughts and synthesis. So when we put all these pieces together, the brown belt and BJJ, the 11-day shark tagging expedition, the on-the-ground disaster relief with RDMs, we realize Paul Walker was a rare figure.
Yeah.
He was a global celebrity who fundamentally seemed to value his commitment to intense personal discipline and intellectual rigor over all the noise of fame.
He really lived a life of paradoxes, didn't he?
Yeah.
A man who could easily sell a movie based on the chaotic appeal of reckless speed. Yet he dedicated serious time to the patient, slow scientific work of oceanography. He sought mastery in both combat sports and high-performance racing. His life was just so much deeper than his most recognized role ever suggested.
And the enduring, really poignant aspect of his legacy, as our sources tragically confirm, is that tension between his absolute dedication to the high-performance automobile world owning race cars, a tuning shop, and the devastating fact that excessive speed and the specific demands of his chosen vehicle played the primary role in his sudden premature death.
Yeah.
It's a powerful narrative about how passion and danger can sometimes intertwine fatally.
Okay, so here is a final nugget of knowledge for you listening to Ponder. Something that kind of sums up his unique attitude. We learned that he turned down the ultimate iconic role, Superman. Allegedly due to fears of the Superman curse and the overwhelming level of celebrity that came with it.
Right.
Considering his profound and dedicated commitment to the private life he built the BJJ, the scientific expeditions, the hands-on charity work, did this decision reflect a genuine conscious attempt to protect that valuable, non-Hollywood private life he clearly loved? Or was it simply a reaction against the public demands of ultimate, inescapable celebrity? Something for you to think about.
Thank you for diving deep with us today.
We'll see you next time.